everyone. Today we're going to be looking at a few apps that I came across while I was looking for resources that are available for the learners that I'm working with. The ones that we're going to be looking at have been developed by Janine Toole, who has not only developed apps, but has also written books to help us in bettering the support that we provide for neurodiverse learners. I have not been contacted by her, so this is a completely unbiased review. I want to just throw out there that I do not advise that you use these apps for target selection. You want to use a curriculum, and then these apps can just help flavor the learning and make things a little bit more interesting. Today we're going to be looking at comprehension. It's important that you recognize that there are two elements to comprehension, and that's reading comprehension and listening comprehension. And you can find with a learner that there is a discrepancy between the two. They could be at one level for reading and another level for listening comprehension. You could use these apps for either. You just need to bear in mind exactly what skill it is that you're working on. When you're building any skill, you want to follow the 8 principles of inclusion developed by Silla Allen and myself. That means that you want to make sure that it is done in a sequential and developmentally appropriate manner. And you have to make informed decisions on any targets that you're setting for your learner. These informed decisions are by using research-based checklists such as curricula, because they will tell you what to work on, when, and what order to follow. Today, we're not going to be looking at the apps in any particular order. It's mainly for you to just know what's out there. So when you have a particular target, you know what you could possibly access. The first one we're going to look at is Reading Fluency. This app is great for any intervention program that needs you to collect data. Generally, you do want to collect information so that you know whether a child is progressing, regressing, or even stagnating, and you can then make decisions accordingly. So let's go ahead and have a look at how this app works, and you'll see how you're able to get meaningful information by the end of it.
Press the green play button and then read the whole text. When you are done, press the red stop button. Start now.
Today was my first day at school. I was really nervous. My mum told me everything would be okay. I was still nervous. At 9 o'clock, Mum and I went to the school office. I learned that my grade 2 teacher would be Mrs. Lister. So if you keep on logging that information, you'd be able to identify whether the learner is progressing and how, and that gives you an opportunity for you to celebrate their success. The next one we're going to be looking at is the WH Questions app. One of the things you want to do when you have a target, generally speaking, is you want to see how you can break that target down even more. So this can be in the form of a task analysis, or it could just be by looking at what the different components are that comprise of the target. And that's what basically happens in this WH Questions app. What she does is she begins by getting the learners to conceptually understand what WH questions mean, and then she gets them to answer WH questions, and then finally gets them to ask WH questions. So let's have a look at what this conceptualization of WH questions is, and that you'll see in the Understand section of this app. And the app continues like that and then works on who and what, but they're worked on in isolation. And that's very important, that when you are working on any particular area and you've broken down the different components, you again want to just teach everything in isolation before you bring it together as a whole. The next one we're going to look at is the Comprehension Builder. These are also WH questions. I would recommend that if you do plan on using this app, you do that WH questions that we just had a look at. And that's because that gives us the prerequisite skills. What we mean by prerequisite skills is this is the knowledge that you need in order for you to progress to the next stage. Oftentimes you find that learners may struggle with gaining a particular skill or a target because they don't have the prerequisite skills. And these are limitless. For example, if we look at maths, counting is a prerequisite skill to adding. Adding is a prerequisite skill to multiplying. Multiplying is a prerequisite skill to calculating the area of 2D objects. And so it goes on and on and on. So it's very important that you make sure that kids have a secure foundation and there are no gaps that could later on cause problems. So let's have a look at this comprehension builder.
Hi, press play to get started.
And one of the things we find with that app is that they give the question and then on a separate page, they give the reading and then on a separate page, they give the question. And so that also supports recall. And that's what I found quite interesting about that particular one as well. The next one we're going to look at is main idea. So they have main idea sentences and main idea short text, which are around about the same thing. So we're just going to have a look at the sentences one. So let's talk about monitoring progress. With these apps, if we look at the top and we're just going to go back, you'll see the grey circles. And then when the child gets the answer right, there's a check. When they get it incorrect, there's a cross. And that alone, if you count that, will be able to give you information on how the child is progressing. So maybe at the beginning, they only get 4 out of 10, and then later on 6 out of 10. And then you're able to see progress, which makes decision making coming from an informed and objective place. So let's just have a look at those. Again, look at the top and you'll see those grey circles. And so there you were able to see on one of the apps how that progress monitoring looks. The next one we're going to look at is Inference. Inference is basically where the child needs to figure out the answer to something when it hasn't been explicitly stated in a text. So one of the things I liked about this is a lot of the time teachers don't really know how to work on inference. So this also helps professionals understand how exactly they can achieve that, and then they can apply it to other reading activities that a learner does. The inference clues is the simple version. Inference ACE is a more complicated version. So you might want to start with inference clues first. So it's important that we know that inference goes along with discussion. And so when you're doing that particular target, you do want to ensure that you're engaging in some sort of a dialogue with the learner and just nudging them toward looking for the correct answer. So we're going to look at inference clues again, but I want to take your attention to the store part. So when the learner continues to do the different questions, they are earning coins, and they can then trade those coins for a game or for something fun. And that just injects some lightheartedness into learning. One of the things we need to recognize is that when we are working with a neurodiverse learner, they have experienced difficulties, and that can sometimes cause them to feel anxiety, and anxiety can impact on learning, which means that they may struggle more and then experience even more anxiety, and it just becomes a vicious cycle. What I like about this is it's fun, but it's very targeted, and so that will just help mitigate the impact of any difficulties that the learner may be having and the likelihood of them experiencing any anxiety. So let's just have a look at what they have in their stores. And so basically you see how the kids are able to trade their coins that they've earned to doing something fun. So they have a reward reinforcement system as part of the apps. The last one we're going to be looking at is visualization.
Read the word and make a picture in your head. Next, do a quick drawing of the picture in your head.
And that's really a great way to build visualization. And what they do is they first get the kids to work on visualization skills by drawing things, nouns, and then verbs. And building visualization is important in improving comprehension skills. It's also a great strategy to build when you're building recall. You can even use a stylus and get the child to improve their pincer grip. And let's not forget that drawing skills are a prerequisite skill that you need for writing, so that also gives them an opportunity to work on their drawing skills. And there's no definite right or wrong answer, and it could just be something fun. You could turn take with the learner, and that would just help them build the idea of having a picture in their mind toward a word that they've read, and then they just build along into more abstract words such as verbs. So that's what we're having a look at today. Our next one will be looking at some of the other apps that you saw. I'm really excited to hear who's going to be trying this, how it's working, how it's making learning even more fun for your child. Leave me feedback, and of course, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. And I wish you all a really great day. Bye.